Most leaders think their biggest data challenge is getting access, or building dashboards that people actually use, or getting ready for AI. But the threat that quietly drains budgets, slows execution, and undermines performance isn't any of that. It's bad data. Data that's inaccurate. Data that's missing key fields. Data that's outdated. Data that contradicts itself depending on which system you pulled it from.
And today, we're going to name the enemy clearly: poor data quality, and the very real cost it creates while you're busy looking elsewhere. I'm Nakel Ethan Nakima, and this is the B.I channel, where data meets decisions. My job here is to help you cut through the noise and see the mechanics underneath business intelligence, the systems, the structures, and the signals that explain why organizations perform the way they do. Consider this episode a wake-up call. Because data quality is not a technical footnote. It's either a compounding asset that strengthens your decisions over time, or it's a liability that quietly multiplies your mistakes. Let's zoom out for a moment, because data quality is a global issue, even though it shows up differently depending on where and how an organization operates. In the United States, a lot of companies have enormous data volume and high-speed reporting demands, but they also have fragmented systems. Mergers, multiple CRMs, separate finance tools, shadow spreadsheets. The speed is impressive, but the inconsistency is everywhere. Two teams can ask the same question and walk away with two different numbers, both supported by data. Across Europe, the picture often includes stronger governance and a more formal approach to data management. But many organizations are still running on legacy platforms that make cleansing slow, expensive, and politically complicated. The intent is disciplined, but the infrastructure can drag the process down. In parts of Asia, rapid digital transformation is producing world-class capability in some sectors, while other sectors are still building foundational data maturity. The result is mixed quality. Some organizations have rigorous standards end-to-end, while others are collecting data faster than they can organize it. In Africa, mobile-first innovation can reduce certain legacy problems because some organizations leapfrog old systems entirely. But it can introduce new gaps, inconsistent identifiers, partial fields, and data collected across distributed environments that don't always reconcile cleanly. And in Latin America, you often see growing analytics adoption coupled with inconsistent pipelines across regions and business units. One country's dataset is clean and well-defined. Another's is incomplete or structured differently. And suddenly your regional dashboard becomes an exercise in compromise rather than truth. Different circumstances, same outcome. Bad data is expensive, and most organizations can't even quantify how expensive, because the cost is spread out. It shows up as wasted time, misdirected strategy, unnecessary churn, and broken trust. It rarely arrives as a single line item on a budget. So let's break down what poor data quality actually does to an organization, in practical terms. First, bad data creates bad decisions. This is the most obvious, and it's also the most dangerous because it feels like leadership. You're making choices. You're acting decisively. You're setting targets and reallocating resources. But if the inputs are wrong, your decision quality collapses. A forecasting model fed with incorrect sales stages doesn't produce a slightly off forecast. It produces a story that convinces you to hire too fast, cut too early, stock too much inventory, or miss demand that was right in front of you. Ask yourself this: how many of your strategic pivots were actually responses to measurement errors? That's the uncomfortable question poor data forces you to confront. Second, bad data slows down teams. Most organizations think analysts are hired to analyze. In reality, many analysts become full-time janitors for messy datasets. It's common to see 60 to 80% of analytics time spent cleaning, reconciling, and validating before any insight work even begins. That means you're paying for high-skilled talent to do repetitive rework. And worse, it means decision-making slows down because every request becomes, "Give us 2 days to check whether the data is even usable." And that slowness isn't just an annoyance. It changes business behavior. Teams stop exploring. They stop asking deeper questions. They reduce ambition because they've learned the data will fight them. Third, bad data damages customer experience. This is where the cost becomes visible to the market. Duplicate customer records lead to duplicate outreach. Incorrect preferences lead to irrelevant personalization. Outdated contact information creates friction for support teams and delays for customers. And inconsistencies across channels make your organization feel disorganized. Customers don't describe it as a data quality issue. They describe it as, they don't know me, or they wasted my time, or I don't trust them. Trust is expensive to earn and easy to lose, and poor data quality loses it quietly, interaction by interaction. Fourth, bad data breaks AI models. AI is not forgiving. If your definitions vary, if fields are inconsistently populated, if labels are wrong, the model doesn't politely ignore that. It learns it. It amplifies it. AI systems scale your patterns, including your errors. So when an organization says, "We tried machine learning and it didn't work," the honest response is often, "You didn't try machine learning. You tried machine learning on inconsistent reality." And here's the punchline: the more advanced your AI ambitions, the more brutal your data quality penalties become. AI doesn't just need data. It needs trustworthy data with stable meaning. Fifth, bad data increases operational risk. This is where mistakes become costly fast. Compliance failures can start with incorrect records or missing audit fields. Financial misreporting can come from inconsistent definitions of revenue, margin, or customer status. Supply chain errors can come from messy product masters, wrong lead times, or mismatched SKU definitions across systems. When core data is unreliable, the organization becomes fragile. It can still operate, but it's operating on hope and patchwork controls. Sixth, bad data hides performance problems. Leaders can't fix what they can't see. When the data masks a decline in retention, or inflates conversion rates, or blurs the real drivers behind cost overruns, the organization develops a false sense of confidence. You think things are stable because the dashboard is stable. Meanwhile, reality is shifting underneath you. Poor data doesn't just cause bad decisions. It delays the moment you realize you needed to act at all. Seventh, bad data destroys BI credibility. This one is fatal because it becomes cultural. At first people question one report. Then they question the dashboard. Then they question the analytics team. And eventually they stop using BI altogether and retreat to local spreadsheets and my numbers versus your numbers. Once trust is gone, adoption collapses. And rebuilding that trust is harder than building the system in the first place. So what do we do about it? Not the temporary fix. Not the heroic cleanup before the board meeting. The sustainable fix. Step 1, establish a data quality framework. You have to define what good means in your organization, because quality isn't a vibe. It's a set of measurable properties. Start with the essentials: accuracy, completeness, consistency, timeliness, and validity. Accuracy means the value reflects the real world. Completeness means required fields are populated. Consistency means the same concept means the same thing across systems. Timeliness means it's current enough to be useful. Validity means it conforms to rules and formats. And the important detail here is that good enough differs by use case. Data used for real-time fraud detection has a different tolerance for delay than data used for quarterly planning. Your framework sets the standards by purpose, not by guesswork. Step 2, assign data owners. Every critical dataset needs someone accountable for its health. Not the data team in general. A named owner. Ownership creates clarity on definitions, prioritization, and escalation. Without ownership, every data quality problem becomes a group project with no deadline and no consequences. And predictably, nothing improves. Step 3. Implement automated data quality checks. Manual cleanup is a tax you will pay forever if you accept it as normal. Automation is how you make quality repeatable. That means things like duplicate detection, anomaly detection, validation rules, and missing value alerts. The key is to catch issues as close to the source as possible. Don't let bad data travel downstream, where it becomes harder to trace, more expensive to fix, and more likely to be baked into reports and models. Step 4. Create a data quality scorecard. If quality matters, measure it like you measure performance. Track it. Show it. Make it visible to the people who rely on the data and the people responsible for it. When leaders see data quality metrics side by side with business KPIs, the conversation changes. Quality stops being a back-office complaint and becomes a strategic performance input. Step 5. Build a culture of data stewardship. This is the part organizations try to skip, and then they wonder why the fixes don't stick. Everyone touches data. Sales enters records. Support updates customer details. Operations creates product structures. Finance defines categories. If the culture treats data as an afterthought, the systems will reflect that. Stewardship means people understand that every field they leave blank, every workaround they create, every rushed entry they make has consequences downstream. The goal is not perfection. The goal is shared responsibility. Now let's look forward, because the next decade is going to reshape data quality from important to non-negotiable. First, AI-driven cleansing will become far more common. Systems will detect errors, inconsistencies, and outliers in near real time and suggest corrections automatically. But remember, this doesn't eliminate governance. It changes the workflow from constant manual repair to supervised correction and continuous improvement. Second, data contracts between teams will become standard. Think of these as agreements that spell out what a dataset contains, how fields are defined, what the acceptable quality thresholds are, and what happens when those thresholds aren't met. Instead of constant renegotiation, you get clarity and shared expectations. Third, real-time data quality dashboards will increasingly sit next to financial and operational dashboards. Leaders won't just ask, "What's the revenue?" They'll also ask, "How confident are we in this number today?" And that confidence will be based on measurable quality indicators, not gut feel. Fourth, data quality will become a compliance requirement in more industries. Not just privacy. Not just retention policies. But proof that records are accurate, auditable, and defensible. Regulators are moving toward a world where, "we didn't know," won't be an acceptable explanation for bad reporting driven by poor data practices. And fifth, data quality will become a competitive advantage. Organizations with clean, well-governed, well-understood data will move faster, personalize better, forecast more accurately, and deploy AI more effectively. The gap between clean data organizations and messy data organizations won't be incremental. It will be dramatic. So let's close with the simplest version of the message. Bad data is one of the most expensive problems in modern business, precisely because it hides in plain sight. It degrades decision quality, it slows teams, it erodes customer trust, and it makes AI unreliable. A real fix requires a framework, clear ownership, automation, measurement, and a culture that treats data as a product, not a byproduct.
If this episode shifted how you think about data quality, follow the BI channel for more global insights at the intersection of BI, AI, and decision intelligence. And if you work with a data team, share this conversation with them. Not as criticism, but as clarity. Because when data quality improves, everything improves with it. This is the BI channel, where data meets decisions.